Welcome everyone to the Yud-Alef Nissan Farbrengen, the first that we've done here for the Shul of Chabad House. So welcome everyone for coming, and I'm happy to have with us Baruch Hashem Rabbi Weg, Yehuda Weg, who together with his wife Etel, the Rebbe Shluchim in Tulsa, Oklahoma for 30 plus, not that we're counting exactly years, but it's a little while, Baruch Hashem. And Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Weg and I have a connection to Pesach that he might not actually be aware. We have a few connections that have kind of developed over the years in interesting ways. I think we first met maybe Yud Shvat by the oil. I was Shabbos Yud Shvat by the oil when I don't remember how long ago it was, 10 years or something like that ago. And the minhag is that on Shabbos Yud Shvat, everybody tries to get an aliyah to the Torah. So in Chabad, we have a custom, we don't make hoysafos, we don't add extra aliyahs. So whatever number of the aliyahs there are, that's how many there are. But everybody wants a mini. So it was relatively early in the morning, and I chapped the Sefer Torah, and I could lane. So now I have a Sefer Torah, no problem. Now I'm guaranteed an aliyah, and I'll lane. And I saw Rabbi Weg, and I guess his beard was longer than mine. So I think I asked him if he would like an aliyah, and he said yes. So that was, I think, if I recall correctly, the beginning of when we met. I don't remember. Anyway. And then also I realized today there's another connection which is unique to Pesach that we have, which is that I'm a little bit addicted, and maybe in an unhealthy way, maybe healthy, I don't know, to coffee. Not necessarily drinking, I just have 1 cup a day. We had a shir recently on coffee. Could you drink coffee after the 4 cups of wine? So I'm very much interested in coffee, the whole thing behind it, the drinking of it, and how to roast it, and how to brew it, and where it appears in halacha. I bought a certain sefer recently because it's the first time that coffee is mentioned in halacha. So it's a personal interest of mine that I enjoy. And also I roast my own coffee for Pesach. I get the green beans. I did a little bit of research, found out where to get them. I get the green beans, which just means that the coffee before it's roasted. And I roast it, and that's like a special treat for our family for Pesach. Is it because I'm extra strict on Pesach, or is it because I like a good coffee? I'm not going to comment on that. But the idea was from Rabbi Weg, actually. I don't remember how it came about, but somehow it was mentioned somewhere that you do that. You roast coffee for Pesach, probably not as obsessive as I am about it. But nevertheless, that idea came to me as well. And now our family enjoys a good coffee on Pesach, Baruch Hashem. So it's Yud-Alef Nissan. It's the anniversary of the birth of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. What is there to say? I don't know. We'll leave it to Rabbi Weg to share stories and so forth. But it's the day that the Rebbe's neshama came into the world. And everybody who's here obviously feels some reason they should be here right now. The birth of the Rebbe brought a special neshama, a very unique neshama into the world. And that's why we're here, even though it's Erev Pesach. And I'm sure all of us probably have a list of things that we could be doing right now. But sometimes, even when you have a list of things to do that are very, very important things to do, sometimes it's good anyway to just put the list aside for a few minutes and try not to think about the list and to come to a Farbrengen, especially Yud-Alef Nissan Farbrengen. So with that being said, I'll say l'chaim. We'll welcome anyone who would like to say l'chaim. We have various options if you'd like to say l'chaim. Baruch atah Eloheinu Olam asher hakol b'yadayh. L'chaim, everybody.
You know,
We have Weiser, Geller. We also have this beer from Purim. If someone wants a beer to help get rid of the chametz, l'chaim. No negative.
I personally don't care about the taste of the coffee. To me, it's just caffeine. So I do roast my own beans, and it started out as green beans, and we roast them, and it's peeled, and because the chaff comes out. Yeah, everything is conducted in. Well, one of the conditions about my coming for Yud-Alef Nissan and Baruch Hashem, I've been there 39 years, and every year I've come.
Every year.
Every year I've come to Yud-Alef Nissan. But one of the conditions is that I have to finish kashering the house and the Chabad house before I leave. So this year I actually finished quite early. Finished early in the week, and everything was done. Anyway, that's the condition that my wife makes about my coming for Yud-Alef Nissan. I come every year to Yud-Alef Nissan. In fact, one year, when the Rebbe passed away, the Rebbe spent a year in the house. And those who remember, it was Yud-Alef Nissan going into Yud-Beis, just like tonight. And Yud-Beis is actually my wife's birthday. So I told the Rebbe, it's my wife's birthday. So the Rebbe gave me extra $1. And the Rebbe said, Avraham Shabbat stood next to the Rebbe, and he pulled aside. He said, the Rebbe said you should wait. Okay, so we waited. I was told by Rabbi Shem that I should wait. So I waited, and as it turned out, the Rebbe spoke another sikha, especially for the shluchim that were in Washington, and gave out matzahs. When I was a kid, in Lubavitch, you're a kid until you're 16. Then after 16, you're an alter bacher. You're never a bacher. You're always either a young kid or else, right? You don't know. Anyway, I was 12 or 13, and as it turned out, Rabbi Herson from Morristown was standing right in front of me. And the Rebbe picked up 2 pieces of matzah, and the Rebbe wished everybody, they were giving everybody 2 pieces of matzah. And wished everybody a kosher sameach. Came to Rabbi Herson, Rebbe saw that was Rabbi Herson, they would put down the matzah, turned around, and took a whole pack, 2 pounds probably, and I said, "Count to New Jersey, for the entire New Jersey." It was at that moment that I decided that I was going to be a shneach, because the Rebbe gave out literally states. Countries, whatever, I decided that, it was important to be the Shliach. So I was 12 or 13. I didn't want to be a fireman. I didn't want to be a policeman. I didn't want to be anything. I will be a shliach. Okay, so anyway, the Rebbe gave both hands. There was a Wisconsin, Jersey, Thailand, Jersey. At that night, when they would give out the matzahs in the house, you could see a video of guys standing and dancing with the matzahs with their heads. It's pretty strange, right? I mean, why are they dancing with the matzahs over the head? So the answer is that the Rebbe was very careful that it should be a whole matzah. Anyway, the Rebbe checked each matzah, for the first few matzahs, the Rebbe checked each matzah, and there was beidik to make sure that that was whole, and they gave only whole matzahs. After that, they were careful that they passed on to the Rebbe, only the people that were there, Rabbi Gunner and staff made sure to give to the Rebbe only whole matzahs. But anyway, the Rebbe gave it with two hands, and I felt it was actually tonight that the Rebbe was fulfilling that which he had done years earlier. He gave Rabbi Herson matzahs with both hands. The Rebbe gave me a matzah also with both hands, a whole matzah. And we said, "You've been in Washington? Were you in Washington? Were you in Washington?" Everybody that asked. In fact, my colleague from Omaha, Nebraska, he went home to get his kids. And he brought back the kids. By the time he came back, it was pretty late. And so they were leaving already. They gave him a matzah also. They asked him, "Were you in Washington?" And he was very, very careful.
What's for Washington?
I don't know. It was, I guess, it was Education Day, the proclamation, and so on. They was very, very careful to give only a matzah to those who were in Washington. Anyway, I had been in Washington that day, and they gave me a matzah with both hands. I felt very, very strongly. I remembered Rabbi Herson, and the Rebbe gave the matzah with both hands. I felt very strongly that the Rebbe gave the matzah with both hands. Anyway, I'm going to give a few introductions. First of all, I was invited to a city. Let's just leave the city. A city to Farbrengen, and it was a city of Anash and so on. And they had a girls' high school. Okay, it was a large crowd, and to the extent that they had a girls' high school. Okay, they asked me if I come a few hours earlier to speak to the girls' high school. Yeah, I could come. Whatever, I was able to come a few hours earlier, and I spoke to the girls' high school for an hour and a half, or whatever. Anyway, we had a guy who showed up Tishrei, a Bacher, and he, if I say a word that you don't understand, please make a note of it and point it out to me, and I'll try and translate. Anyway, a Shiva guy that he had done a fantastic job. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, he had gone with Tzayim. He did a great job. He came to us for Tishrei, and he did a great job. Shabbos Chalamoid, there was nothing to do. He had already met all the people in the shul in the morning, and there was nothing to do in the afternoon. There was no time to go on. There was nothing to do. So he told me that he was going to sleep. Shabbos afternoon, he was going to sleep. In Lubavitch, sleep is not a big mitzvah. Okay, so even Shabbos afternoon. Okay, but okay, he's going to sleep. I mean, he has nothing to do. Anyway, I needed a sefer in the room. I needed a book in the room. I walked into the room. He's wearing pajamas. I went berserk. I went to put on special clothes in order to go to sleep. Come on, before this year, how much is it? Anyway, I gave him what for. I lost it. I went crazy, and I gave him a speech that he never forgot. To the extent that he saw me in Crown Heights after that, many, many times, and he would call from across the street, Shabbos afternoon, no sleep, no pajamas. I go to sleep, but no pajamas. Okay, he's my ticket to heaven. Okay, he's anyway. So I come into the shul at night, and after I spoke to the high school, and I came at night. I was some relatives or whatever, who lives in the city, and I came at night to Farbrengen, and with all, suddenly I see this guy is there. So I said to him, "What are you doing here? You're in Crown Heights, no?" He said, "I just moved here." Really? He said, "Yeah, and my daughter loved your stories today. I had told this story about her father, but I was careful not to say the name. So therefore, I generally I avoid names. I only say names occasionally, very seldom. So I just want to warn you that in case I say anything about your father, about your uncle, about your grandfather, I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean it only positively, and so on. So anyway, don't take it very, very seriously. Anyway, that's one introduction. The story is like this. Anybody know who Rabbi Chadikov was? Do you know him? Anybody know? Rabbi was the Rebbe's chief of staff. Okay? He was the head of mosquitoes, and he was the Rebbe's chief of staff. Anyway, before we went on shlichus, before we left, 39 years ago, Rabbi Chadikov spoke to us. Rabbi Chadikov had been a member of parliament in Latvia. He was a very talented speaker. He was a little older than the Rebbe, and he was the Rebbe's secretary. He was completely nullified to the Rebbe. Nullified. I mean, he didn't exist in the Rebbe's in the Rebbe's presence. Anyway, when he spoke to Shluchim, because he was the one who actually sent out the Shluchim, when the Shluchim went out, and Rabbi Chadikov said something to you, you didn't know for sure whether it came from the Rebbe or whether it came from Rabbi Chadikov. And the Rebbe wanted it that way, and Rabbi Chadikov wanted it that way. It was an agreement between them that they would. Anyway, Rabbi Chadikov spoke to us before we went on shlichus, and it was very interesting. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. At the end, you couldn't challenge Rabbi Chadikov because you didn't know whether it was Rabbi Chadikov saying it himself or whether it was coming from higher. So but you could ask a question. So here was my opportunity to ask a question. Okay. Every shliach that went out in my days did two things. He invited people Friday night, and he had a Sunday school. He invited people Friday night because it's an easy thing. It's a short davening. It's a lot of meal, and as the Rebbe knows, there's a lot of cooking involved, and it's a great door in. Okay, so everybody. We had no problem inviting people Friday night. We invited people Friday night. From the first Friday night we were there, we had people coming. But whether we should open the Sunday school was a question, because there are very few Jewish children in Tulsa, and they all belong either conservative or reform. They feel that they belong to them. Every child that we would get, we would be stealing from them, and so on. So I wasn't sure whether I should open a Sunday school or not, even though every shliach. So I explained to Rabbi Chadikov the two different points of view. That on one hand, every shliach opens a Sunday school, because you get the children, you get the older children, you get the parents, and once or twice a year you get the grandparents. Whatever, is a great thing to do. On the other hand, there were very few Jewish children, and everybody was concerned that I was stealing the children, and so on. So therefore, I thought maybe I shouldn't open a Sunday school. Anyway, I explained the question to Rabbi Chalikov, the secretary, and I explained the two sides of the story. Rabbi Chalikov answered, I'll say it first in Yiddish the way he said it, and then I'll translate. Rabbi Chalikov answered, you have to get along with everybody. I wasn't sure whether he answered the question or not. I asked whether I should open a Sunday school or not, and he answered, you have to get along with everybody. So I explained the question a second time, and I explained it very, very well. I explained the two sides of the story, that on one hand, we should open the Sunday school, on the other hand, we shouldn't open the Sunday school. Should we open a Sunday school or not? And he answered with the same words. You have to get along with everybody. I'll leave it up to you to decide whether he was saying it on his own or whether it had come from above. Anyway, so suddenly my whole life flashed in front of me. I mean, I wasn't sure whether I should. And Rabbi Chalikov said two things. Chalikov answered and explained the two things, and I want to share this with you. Rabbi Chalikov answered like this. He said, a heter, permission to not open a Sunday school, I can't give you. He said, but maybe you should open a Monday school or Tuesday school or Wednesday school. He said, you can open a Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday. It was so good. It really helped us. It helped us tremendously. Don't go head to head with them, but come up with a solution. Be creative. Come up with a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and for 10 years we had a Tuesday school. Okay, and Rabbi Chalikov was very helpful. And the other thing Rabbi Chalikov said like this, and this I believe that every Lubavitcher should know, every person should know. He said like this. He said, "You're making a mistake. You think that your shlichus is to invite people Friday night, to open a Sunday school, and our shlichus is." He began a sentence. Your shlichus is. Now it doesn't make a difference what he's going to end the sentence with. He could end with mopping the mikvah, with cleaning the floors. It makes no difference. Because we're about to find out what our shlichus is all about. He said, our shlichus is, and I'm listening very, very closely. He said, our shlichus is to be a living example of what it means to be happy to be a Jew. And he explained. He said, when somebody else will see that you're happy, they will ask themselves the question, why is this guy happy? Why is she so happy? Why are they so happy? And they will come to the conclusion that you have Torah, you have mitzvahs. And therefore, they will want to do Torah mitzvahs. And as David said, he said, that's how you attract people. So, Rabbi Chalikov told us very clearly that our job is from the Yiddishkeit, and we should be a living example of what it means to be happy to be a Jew. And he explained it. I want to share that with you. You have to be happy, and at all times. And that's how you're going to attract Yidden. Because people are going to be, they'll want to be part of what you're, what's so important to you, the fact that you're happy. So happiness is not a small matter. Just want to point that out. Happiness is very important.
Mimitzrayim ge'altonu mibeisam odim v'disanu Mimitzrayim ge'altonu mibeisam odim v'disanu Mimitzrayim Mimitzrayim ge'altonu mibeisam Bedisanu, I be Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavodim, Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavodim, Bedisanu, Mitzrayim, I be Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Bedisanu, I'm in Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu, Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim. I'm in Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu, Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim. I'm in Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu. I'm in Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu, Mitzrayim. I'm in Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu, Mitzrayim. I'm in Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu. I'm in Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu, Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim. I'm in Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu, Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu. I'm in Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu, Mitzrayim. I'm in Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu, Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu. I'm in Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu, Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim. I'm in Mitzrayim, Ge'alton, Besavadim, Bedisanu, Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim.
Just a quick note to thank the people that helped for sponsoring for tonight. Zev and Rivka Prescott, and Yona and Rivka Kopstik, and Mr. and Mrs. Eliyahu Chaimov, Mr. and Mrs. Ava Cohen, Shalema and Dalia Steinman, which was Le'ilu Nishmas, her father, whose Shleshim is tonight, Yehuda Yosef and Avram Baruch, and also to Tzvi and Elisha Rosengarten. And I just want to mention that regarding the simcha, the happiness, I mean, Rabbi Wagner's here to speak, but I can't help just share one little idea regarding the obligation to be happy, which is, of course, particularly relevant by Yom Tov. There's a mitzvah from the Torah to be happy on Yom Tov. And ever since I left yeshiva, after I got married, I was thankfully fortunate to learn in Kollel for about 2 years after I got married. And every year since then, before every single Yom Tov, I get the same text message from my rabbi from yeshiva. He thankfully didn't forget me after all these years. And he reminds me, I guess I need the reminder, that there's a mitzvah from the Torah to be happy, particularly on Yom Tov. And that means men to eat meat and drink wine. And it means reminder to buy your wife a gift, clothing or jewelry for Yom Tov. So I'm just sharing that. And to give the kids nuts, which I guess means candy or toys or something like that. But so I'm just sharing that reminder that I get from my rabbi every year without fail. It's been over 2 decades, and he still texts me for every single Yom Tov. Remember to buy your wife a gift. Remember to be happy. It's Yom Tov. It's an extra special time. So I'm just if the hat fits, you can wear the hat. I'm just sharing that openly.
Who was in Morristown? You were in Morristown? Anybody else? No?
Same time.
Huh? Same time, yeah. I spent the 3 years in Morristown, 3 of the best years of my life.
What happened?
I mentioned the Melech today to my kids. But...
Okay, huh?
Rabbi Heber was there?
Who? Rabbi Heber?
Rabbi Heber was there.
No, he left. He left the same time we came.
Right.
So Rabbi Lushansky was there.
Right.
Lushansky was went out. My son works now in Raleigh for Lushansky's son. Anyway, we had been there for 3 years, and we were the first class that was there for 3 years. Most classes were there 2 years. It changed from time to time, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, so on. Anyway, we were there for the first class that was there for 3 years. So the reason why we stayed for a 3rd year was because we were going to go on shtichus for an hour class. Not everybody went. Today, more or less, everybody goes. Everybody goes for 1 year, and so on. At that time, it was minimum of 2 years, and everybody went. And not everybody went. You had to be chosen to
To
go.
clarify, you're talking about before married as a bacher.
Right. Yeah, we were Bachram, and we went on shtichus as Bachram for a couple of years. Later we moved to Oklahoma, but the first shtichus was from our town. Anyway, they announced at the end of Adar or something, then in the winter, that the central administration was going to come to test us. And they were going to test every class and so on. We had been through many of these fahers before, many of these tests before, even though it was a verbal test and so on, but we had to know our stuff. So they gave us a few weeks to review the material, to be ready for the Anholim Markazis, as it was called, the central administration with the head of 770, heads of the yeshiva, and so on. Medlik came, remember Medlik, okay? Medlik and Rabbi Bukit and David Askin. So the three of them came, and they announced that they were coming on this day, and that we should prepare, and they were coming early, and they were going to finish early, and they were going to go back to New York, and so on. Okay. Anyway, it was no big deal. We prepared seriously. Anyway, it was about lunchtime, about 2:15. Lunchtime. This was 2:30, 2:40 in the afternoon. We were downstairs as the lunchroom was a marathon, and suddenly Bacher going through. He says, "Dan Huller wants to speak to you before the administration wants to speak to you before they go back. They finished testing all the classes, and they want to speak to you." I don't know. Bacher are very cynical. They make fun of everything, and we went upstairs. Obviously, we trekked all the way upstairs, the 3 flights up the stairs. At that time, the Zal was a fraction of what it is today. Anyway, we made our way, and Bahram talking to each other, and Rav Medlik gets up. Rav Medlik was the head of the yeshiva in 770, and he didn't say a word. Everybody who knows him knows that he was tremendous balaregash. He was very emotional. He turned red, like this. Before he said a word, he turned red. he was getting ready to speak, and he turned red, and we whoa, what did he have to say? So we were quiet, and Medlik says like this, comes out of his mouth, says, "You can't imagine how happy the Rebbe is going to be when he hears that the Bachrim and Marstan are sitting and learning." We tested all the classes today. Everybody knew everything, and we 4 classes, and we went through each of the classes, and everybody knew. He said that you can't imagine how happy the Rebbe is going to be when he hears that the Bachrim are sitting and learning. Okay, and we're going to go back and we're going to report to the Rebbe that the Bachrim are sitting and learning, and so. I'll be very honest with you. There were very, very few things that we could have done that would make the Rebbe happy. We always were looking for something, something special that we would be able to make the Rebbe happy. And here we were told that just our learning was very important to the Rebbe, and we can't imagine how happy the Rebbe is going to be when he hears that Tzavachim and Ma'arsan are sitting and learning. Okay. we just about controlled ourselves. We were going to make it Farbrengen, okay, but it was 2:15, 2:30, 2:45 in the afternoon. So we sat through Seder in the afternoon Seder and at night Seder, and 9:30 whatever. So we went to if you know Morristown, you know that there are basements and sub basements and tunnels, and Morristown was built 100 years ago, and it was built in a way that they don't build buildings today. Anyway, went down the tunnel. We found out there's a class sitting there already. They beat us to it, so we had no choice. We had to leave. So we asked, where should we Farbrengen? They told us that there's in the basement of the Hanhola building. Today I think it was the Cheder, Gross Cheder. If you walk down this tunnel, you'll end up in that apartment, and that apartment is under the building, and you can Farbrengen over there. Anyway, we went with it Farbrengen. How we Farbrengen? What was the subject of the Farbrengen? It was only one subject: that God should be kind enough to send us on the Rebbe Shlichus. That was all that was on that mind. Because now it was crunch time. So 10 guys would be chosen to go on the Rebbe Shlichus. In other words, our class had already sent out 10 guys and more than 10 guys, and not everybody went. So at that time it changed. I'm not going to go into it. Anyway, so 10 guys from our class would be chosen to go on Shlichus to California. And I don't know if you know the Rosh. The Rosh was nuts at that time. He was crazy, you know. Yeah. He's crazy now. He's normal now compared to the way it was then.
Oh, my son was there for
I know. I met him over there. Okay. Anyway, we Shiva. He was known as the Rosh. Shiva. Anyway, we Farbrengen the whole night. Suddenly we are crying. Everybody knows that boys that are 5 years old and old men cry. In between, you never cry. Guys that are 20, 25, 30, 35 never cry. Suddenly, you hear crying. Why is it so important to a guy that he's crying? Anyway, we look around. It's Chanech. It's one of our guys. He's crying. Chanech, tell us what's going on. Why are you crying? He picks up his head, can't get a word out of his mouth. All that comes out is tears. Chanech, take your time. We got time. We're going to sing. And whenever you're ready, whenever you gather your wits about you, you'll tell us. And maybe his sister's sick. I don't know. He had come from Israel, and he had been here for a long, long time. And I don't know. We didn't know what was going on. Anyway, picks up his head a second time. Shh, quiet. Okay, everybody's quiet, and he's about to speak, and he can't get a word out of his mouth. He just breaks down crying. Chanech, take your time. We got time. We're your friends. We're gonna spend the time. I remember the Nigla was singing. It was called at that time it was called the ghetto. But da 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 ya ya la ya ya la la. Anyway, it was called it's called today they call it Kalisa Nebeshnigen, probably because they called the ghetto because before they went on Serious Nefesh, they sang this thing. Anyway, it became our song. We waited. Finally, a third time he picks up his head. This time he's able to speak, and he says these words: God should bench us, that we should go on the Rebbe Shlichus. We should become the Rebbe Shlichus. Now he wasn't the only one crying. Now everybody in the room was crying. He was very, very serious. Anyway, that was the subject of Farbrengen for a whole night, was that we should go under Rebbe Shlichus at Bochum. Anyway, and that's Beis Nissan. This is a few weeks later. Bochum's running around, same time, same place, same spot, same thing, everything. Same bad time, same bad thing. Anyway, he's holding a piece of paper. Rabbi Herzl wants you to talk this. Rabbi Herzl wants you to talk this. No. Rabbi Herzl wants you. Okay. We had been in Marstown for 3 years. Never once have we passed Mrs. Kornfeld's thing. Okay, never once have we been in Rabbi Herzl's office. Suddenly we were invited to his office. So I'll be honest with you. Everybody thought probably shlichus, right? I mean, that was the obvious thing. But everybody was afraid to say out of their mouth shlichus, because what if it wasn't? The disappointment would have been too great. So therefore, nobody said anything. And we all went to, and anyway, he said, everybody's here, everybody who's in town is here. Yeah. Rabbi Herzl opened, he said, when everybody's here, I should knock on the door. And he knocked on the door, and Rabbi Herzl opened it up. He said, Rabbi Klein wants to speak to you, which was code for shlichus. This was another one of their secretaries. We found out, anyway, he asked 2 or 3 questions. I was stupid enough to answer one of the questions, which gave me an insight into how important the questions were. Anyway, the first question was, are you going willingly? Do you want to go? Are you going b'ratzon? Okay? Because the Rebbe doesn't want to send anybody on shlichus that doesn't want to go. Okay? Yes, absolutely, we want to go. I want to go. The second question was, are your parents in agreement that you should go? And I was stupid enough to answer that question. I answered, of course, my parents were waiting their whole life for us, for me to go on shlichus. Rabbi Klein said, people change their mind. He said, go ask your parents and come in to the secretary and the secretariat and give me the answer. Because maybe the answer is no. Okay, so the third question was, are there any issues in health that you're experiencing that would get in the way of shlichus, of the success of the shlichus? 3 questions. And Rabbi Klein said, you think I'm asking these questions myself? He said, the Rebbe is asking these questions. The Rebbe wants to know. He said, don't answer. Unless you have it's clear from your parents, whatever, because I have to go back to the Rebbe. I have to write to the Rebbe about that the parents are in agreement. So do me a favor, go and ask your parents, and if they say yes, then come and tell me. Okay? Or whatever you say. Anyway, we were we Farbrengen back to Farbrengen. I'm not sure if there was more blood in or alcohol in our system at that time. Anyway, about 6 o'clock in the morning, we walked back. It was light, and we walked back to the Zal. The guys who stayed the whole night had stayed until 6 o'clock in the morning, and we were told that Hanhola would go in, would run into the Rebbe that day. So therefore, we were afraid to go to sleep, because if we go to sleep, everything depends on Seder Chassidut. If you were at Seder Chassidut in the morning, means you were there. If you were not, then you weren't there. So at 7:30 in the morning, we had to be in our places. So one guy went to sleep under Melech's table, Milch would come in at 7:30 and he kicked the guy. He asked, what's going on over here? Anyway, you ever see beach whales? Okay, that's what we look like. Anyway, there were exactly 10 guys. Anyway, we counted up. It's called that we would say shoes. We explained to Rabbi that we didn't want to miss sale shoes, and he said, "We should have Farbrengen last night. Everybody Farbrengen. Nothing. It's called." He said, "We're going to." It's called. Anyway. I'll just point out, we counted exactly a minyan after we went to Dam Shachris, right after his went to Dam Shachris. There were exactly 10 guys over there. Those 10 guys were the guys who went on Shnichas, and exactly the same 10 guys who stayed through the night, Farbrengen. So we're sitting about Farbrengen, and you can ask anything you want. Ask for shlichus, you can ask for anything you want. Anyway, we have a story that everybody that was sent to shlichus was exactly the same 10 guys that we spent the whole night. So. If I'm bringing, you can ask me anything you want.
Dum da ya ya dum da dum 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 dum. Ya ya da
I'm waiting for a long time. I'm waiting for a long time. Now it's happening.
I never saw it. Yeah.
Everybody wants to hear a war story. Tell you the story of Andy. Andy,
I'm dry.
that's fine.
Please. Yanni.
Give it to someone.
Yeah. Yes, we'll see Yanni.
Okay.
It's all under the.
Jest też mogę ciebie.
Okay. Anyway, Andy is a very interesting guy. Andy called me up. I'd been there, I don't know, maybe a year or two, and Andy called. I heard right away that he has a very strange character. He's an accent, but that didn't turn me off. He was born in Poland. But he's one of a very few, very select group. I don't know if there's 50 of them or 300 people who were children during the Holocaust and survived. Very, very few. Anyway, Andy calls me up. He tells me the first words out of his mouth was, "I hate Jews." What do you mean? We love Jews. And that's our whole reason that is loving Jews. No, I hate Jews. So I said, we have got to talk. Anyway, I was afraid to bring him to my house. We made up to meet in the park around the corner from my house. And because I have a wife and a kid and whatever. Anyway, so Andy's coming to talk. Anyway, I put a phone on him, and he said it with such passion that the worst anti-Semite that says I hate Jews could not compare. Anyway, I found out he was really Jewish, and he hates Jews. So I explained to him that the Jews that he hates were not acting Jewish. Judaism demands that we should treat each other very, very well. So the fact that they actually were Jews, but they weren't acting Jewish, and therefore there's nothing to hate Judaism, whatever. You cannot hate Jews, whatever. Anyway, we became good friends. After that, he came to my house. Anyway, every time he came, he put on tefillin, and so on. I knew him maybe 2-3 years, and I was going to the Rebbe for a Shabbos. Those were in the beautiful days, in the Farbrengen. So we came Thursday night, and Andy came. Andy, you want to come along? Yeah, sure. Anyway, I told him to spend the Shabbos, whatever, by the Rebbe. Yeah, for sure. He wants to come. Anyway, we came Thursday night. Most of my guys had already left 770, but I still knew the guys. I knew maybe 2-3 years after I had left, so I knew most of the guys in 770, and they were a little younger, and I got into a bull session with them, as we call it. A bull session is a schmooze with them. Anyway, I totally forgot about Andy. Anyway, I'm talking for 15-20 minutes, and suddenly I remembered, I'm not here alone, I'm here with Andy. Anyway, I turned around, and sure enough, Andy is standing on the side of 770, and he's looking over. He said, he takes everything very philosophically. He said, I was in Israel when I left Poland. I was 19 years old. He said, I went to Israel for 2 years. Then I came to Philadelphia. And when I was in Israel, he said the Orthodox Jews treated me very, very well. They had great respect for me, and so on. But there was always a sadness in their eyes. They were all Holocaust victims. There was a sadness in their eyes. He said, these guys are studying Torah. all day long. There's no sadness in the Rebbe. They're very happy. I could see it. Okay? He was very, very happy. The next morning, I woke him up and I did the tour guide at 770. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk about it. I did the tour guide at 770. I gave a bunch of guys a job, Carl Epstein and a few other guys. The cats, whatever. I gave them jobs anyway. So I was a tour guide at 770. Anyway, I took him to the Matzah Bakery. I took him to the Sefer. I took him to Borough Park, to 30th Avenue. We had a great time. Friday night, I told him, stand over here, and the Rebbe will pass by. Maybe the Rebbe will look at you. You stand next to, I'm not going to stand over here, but if you stand right in this spot, then maybe the Rebbe will look at you and say good Shabbos. Sure enough, the Rebbe passed by him, the Rebbe made with his hand, good Shabbos. And he was mabsut ad shamayim, as we say. He was happy as could be. In Oklahoma, we'd say the pig in mud, but in a shul like this, I'm not going to say it right. Yeah, mabsut ad shamayim. It's an Arabic word. Anyway, I'm not sure that the Arabs are better than the animals. Anyway, Andy, sure enough, came. And we davened in the morning, and the Shabbos morning, and I said to Andy, okay, my parents lived at Hopkins jump from 770, 1421 president. If you know the neighborhood, it's the two short blocks, 770. It's the corner of it's on the port side, but it's President of Kingston and three houses from the corner, and very good. So we went to make Kiddush by my parents, and we're going to go to Farbrengen about 1:30. Then we come down 1:30. I told him it's about 10 after 1. Let's go back. I said, I'm not going. What? You're not going? He said, no. He said, I've seen pictures of Farbrengen already, and I know that I'm going to be surrounded by Jews. It's too much Judaism. Too many Jews. He said, I said, I have a place for you. It's perfect. I could stand. It's at the end of a bench. You could sit. I could stand. I never sat in front of the Rebbe. My father never sat in front of the Rebbe. It's very good. It was a perfect. Say, I made up with him like this. You come for one sikha, and the Rebbe will speak. Afterwards, he'll say l'chaim, and then you'll go. He said, but there's a wall of people. I said, getting out is not a problem. Getting in, that's a whole different story. But getting out is not a problem. You just walk towards the wall, and everybody will split. Everybody will make room for you. That's all. Okay, he's going to come to one sikha. Anyway, the Rebbe speaks a sikha, very, very long, like 40, 45 minutes. Usually, a sikha was 20, 25 minutes. This was on and on and on and on. It was like 45 minutes. Okay. So the Rebbe started to Farbrengen, and then went on. Afterwards, I felt bad for him because he didn't understand the word, but I gave him a short version of the sikha that the Rebbe spoke, and I said, hold up your cup and hold it to the Rebbe, and maybe the Rebbe will look at you. And sure enough, it didn't take a minute. The Rebbe looked straight at him, the Rebbe made with his head, l'chaim. Okay? I said, Andy, now's a good time to go. No, I'm having a very good time. Whoa, this is not a good idea, but I'm not going to argue with Andy. So Andy's going to stay. Anyway, the second sikha, the Rebbe goes on and on and on and on again, about 45 minutes, the second sikha. About after 20, 25 minutes, he's having a panic attack. Said, I got to leave. He said, there's too many Jews around here. I said, walk just walk out. He said, a wall of people. I said, I'm telling you, shh, first of all, be quiet. And second of all, it's not a problem. Everybody will move out of your way. And sure enough, they let him out. Anyway, the rest of Farbrengen, I was able to concentrate, and I wasn't worried about Andy. And Andy's at my parents' house, he's safe, and everything's fine. After Farbrengen, so I go to my parents' house to find Andy. I yelled, no, the child is not there. He's not around. I asked my mother, what's with Andy? She said, I don't know, he came and he left. And I'm having nightmares because I'm thinking, there's no way that I'm going to find Andy. There's like 5,000 people. There's no way I'm going to find Andy. And Andy's lost, and he's going to have to answer to his wife. And don't ask, whatever. I'm having nightmares already. Anyway, I come to 770, and he's standing right across from 770. There's a train station. He's standing with his back to the train station, and he's looking over, and he's got this smile from ear to ear. I pick him up. So he's smiling tremendously. I said, Andy, what's on your mind? I'm so glad to find Andy. So I asked him, Andy, what's on your mind? He said, look at them, the old people, young people, babies, mothers, children. There's not a trace of the Holocaust in them. They're all very happy. So he was very happy. He had reached his plateau. He had found Torah Jews that were not Holocaust victims. He was very happy. The next day, as most people know, the Rebbe gave out dollars. So I get online with Andy, and we're standing over there, and we're online for, I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes. And Andy knew already the system that if you leave one guy there, he could hold your place, and he could get off the line. He said, I want to tell the Rebbe something. I want to ask the Rebbe something. And I'm thinking, you can tell the Rebbe that he hates Jews. This is not a good idea. It's not my job to protect the Rebbe, but after all, I brought him and so on. So I should. Anyway, I wanted to ask him. I was very anxious to ask him, but the Rebbe belongs to him the same way the Rebbe belongs to me. I have no control over that. So he said, I'm going to get off the line. I said, if you could distill down to one sentence, then you can ask the Rebbe. Because there's a lot of people online. If you can't have a conversation with the Rebbe, but if you can ask one question, you can ask still down to one line. You can ask the Rebbe. You could say something to the Rebbe. You could ask the Rebbe something. He gets over the line. He comes back a half hour later. He says, "I got it. It's one line. It's one line. I finally figured out exactly what I want to ask the Rebbe, and it's one line." And I was so anxious to ask him, what are you going to tell the Rebbe? I couldn't. I just couldn't. That belongs to him. So anyway, we get to the thing, and the Rebbe gives me $1. The Rebbe gives me a second $2, and they just found a video of it. So now I thought that the Rebbe had implied it, but the Rebbe actually said it. The Rebbe gives him $1. I told the Rebbe, I introduced him. I said, "This is Gabriel," and I said his last name. He just got me Shabbos by the Rebbe. Anyway, he leaned forward with a refinement that I didn't know that he had. Very, very, very able. I mean, we wore a black hat. Pulaski was very careful about time. By him, time was sacred. So 10 o'clock was 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock was 11 o'clock, whatever. I had an appointment with Rabbi Pulaski about 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. Anyway, I come to his office at 11 o'clock. He's not here. I said, where were you? He comes in about 5 to 11. I said, where were you? He said, I was at the oil. He said, I took 2 balavatim to the oil. He pulls out 2 large checks. I don't know. I wrote guys to the oil. They came back with black hats. No checks. Anyway, Andy was wearing a black hat. I didn't know, but I saw it on the video. Anyway, he went with the Rebbe and he told the Rebbe, bless me, that I should be satisfied with my Judaism. Okay. What happened over here? For 50 years, the man was tortured. Yeah, Jew, not Jew, yeah, Jew, not Jew. Not sure. Suddenly, he reached a plateau. And he was very happy over there. The Rebbe turned him around, basically. And the Rebbe showed him, you could go so much further. Why be satisfied with this? You could go so much, you could do so much more. The Rebbe told him, you should never be satisfied. The Rebbe told him, I thought the Rebbe implied it, but the Rebbe said it very clearly. The Rebbe told him, you should never be satisfied with your accomplishments until now. You should always go from strength to strength. Okay? So we walked outside, and he looked at me. He said, the first thing he said was, Rabbi, I need to buy a pair of tefillin. Okay, so we walked across the street, and we bought a pair of tefillin. Okay. I wasn't going to say anything because no matter what I was going to say, it was going to be the wrong thing. So I let Andy do all the talking. And we get back on the plane Sunday night. We're going back to Oklahoma. And Andy says, I'm not saying a word. Andy says to me, you know, Sharon and I are both Jewish, which I knew, and that he and his wife were both Jewish. He said, but we eloped. We never had a Jewish wedding because her mother was against the wedding, my mother was against the wedding, and so on. So we never had a Jewish wedding. Would you make us a Jewish wedding? Are you kidding? I wait my whole life. So we made him a beautiful wedding, and there was music, and there was dancing, and there was, and we spoke to his son, and so on. Anyway, so that was the follow-up. The Rebbe said, you should go from strength to strength. First thing he bought is a pair of tefillin. Second thing, he made a Jewish wedding. I'm going to tell you epilogue. Epilogue is an English word, by the way. Okay. I'm going to tell you a follow-up to the story. It's not so long. I came, I mentioned that I was here every year in Nissan. So one year I came and I had to pick up something by my sister. My sister was on Crown Street between Kingston and Albany, if you know where it is. Okay. So I picked up whatever it was by my sister and I drove to the corner and I had a red light. How long was the New York red light? 30 seconds, 40 seconds, not very long.
There's red lights in New York?
I don't have a horn, so anyway, I'm looking out the window, and I'm thinking in Tulsa, every day looks the same. The day before Pesach, the first day of Pesach, the day after Pesach looks the same. Over here, it's different. This guy is carrying a sink. This guy is carrying, a board or whatever the cover. Counters, yeah. Very, very nice. I'm breathing it in. I'm really enjoying it. Anyway, after 30 seconds, seeing the people pass by, I decided to look out my window, and I see a guy walking down the street. He's pushing a stroller. He has a sunroof down, and he has a Rambam propped up on the stroller. And he's learning Rambam while he's walking. And I'm thinking, this guy's wife sent him out. She told him to take the baby with you, because the baby's turning crazy. And he has a rolling extender, and he's learning Rambam while he's on his way to get a sink or his countertop or whatever. And he gets a little closer. I said, 1 second, I recognize this boy. He's a Tulsa boy. This is Andy's son. Okay, he lived in Morristown. Son. So anyway, I just want to point that out that was Andy's son, and Baruch Hashem, he gives a class in Notre Dame. He's a balabas. In the Chabad house, he's only a member of. He gives a class in Notre Dame, and so on. He can really learn. Chaim, Chaim.
Chaim.
He's still there? By you?
Andy is still there.
You know,
He's a little
knows Harris?
Huh?
You know Harris?
He's a Chabad house guy. Harris is a synagogue guy.
What are they singing for more?
Shem Kasi se ya le kai sha le Ay, 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 ay,
Time l'chaim, just to interject for a minute, it's not really interjecting, but Rabbi Weg mentioned satisfaction. Rabbi Weg mentioned shlichus, which, if I recall, if I understand correctly, the shlichus he was referring to was as bachrim, they're going to go to a yeshiva. The shlichus was to learn Torah. As far as I know, that's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
And his shlichus now post Oklahoma was later after marriage, and that was something that came later. That's something that happens in Chabad, but it's hashgacha pratis, divine personal providence. That Baruch Hashem, one of the things that I personally enjoy about the Chabad house. I mean, I'm very biased because whatever, but one of the things that I enjoy about it, which is a relatively new situation, which I never anticipated when we moved to Queens over 2 decades ago, was that we have a regular shul on Shabbos, Baruch Hashem, with regular normal people, not college students. Baruch Hashem, it's refreshing, it's nice.
That's why I don't come.
I know. You only want
I wish I have normal people.
And it's very nice. Nice for me on a personal level. Nice for my boys. I'm home from yeshiva. Nice for my wife. Baruch Hashem, it's a nice thing. And one of the things that was a precondition in my mind to having a minyan here on Shabbos was that it had to be preceded by a shir chassidus. If you don't come to the shir chassidus, that's okay. You could still come to daven. That's fine. There's no requirement. We don't take attendance. But there must be a shir chassidus before davening, and Baruch Hashem there is. And so people come, Baruch Hashem, and we sit together, we learn, and it sometimes becomes a little bit Farbrengen, a little bit shir, but we do, Baruch Hashem, we have a mimer, we're learning. And this past Shabbos, we spoke about these exact 2 nekudos, satisfaction and shlichus. And the context there was in many ways very similar to what you were saying. That satisfaction, what is satisfaction? Satisfaction means I'm good. Everything's fine exactly the way it is. It's good. I have nowhere to grow. I have nothing to do. Who can actually say that I'm good exactly as I am? Who can really say that? I don't know if I met anybody who could actually say that and not be a liar. That I'm good. So satisfaction is almost. I don't know if we should almost maybe even be allergic to the word satisfaction, but and then shlichus, the idea of shlichus, that everybody is a shliach. Everybody is a shliach of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. What does it mean to be a shliach? Someone asked Shabbos morning, what does that mean to be a shliach? Someone asked Shabbos morning. So we said that it's maybe there's different ways to talk about that. But one way is to know, the Rebbe says something similar to this in the Maimer, not in these words, but that every day and every hour and every minute and every moment there's a tachlis behind that moment. There's something that's meant to happen. You're there for a reason. I mean, that particular moment is not happening because 2 stars collided and then there was an amoeba, and the amoeba somehow, maybe that's the way it worked. I wasn't really there to say exactly how everything developed. Maybe things develop like this, they develop like that. Okay, however it developed. But the Eibishter made it happen, whatever exactly happened. Bereshis Bar Elokim is what happened. And that means that every single second, if I'm here, that I am here, Baruch Hashem, is because I have a shlichus. I have a shlichus from the Eibishter. I have a mission. There's something to accomplish. There's a tachlis in that moment. And so that's just Hashgacha Pratis. We mamish spoke about in Shabbos, that every minute there's a tachlis in that moment. Wherever I am, whoever I'm with, the fact that I'm with certain people around the table Shabbos morning with a mimer is because I need to be with these particular people at this particular moment. Same thing with this Farbrengen now, obviously. And for me, I guess on a personal level, that idea is so redemptive. It's so freeing to know that there's something so much bigger than me happening, and that I have a part in it, and that my moment here in Queens, it took. I also went to the Morristown a little bit later. It was an adjustment to come to Queens. It wasn't something that if I had pictured my life, certainly 30 years ago, 40 years ago for sure, if I'd 30 years ago even, if I'd pictured my life, it wasn't like this, that's for sure. And there's such an element of a personal redemption in finding the shlichus in that moment, in that second. And that's how I felt Shabbos morning. That's how I felt. That there's that freedom that to open, to allow it to happen, to allow it to flow, to say, I don't have to be satisfied. I don't have to say I'm good. It's okay to say, you know what? I'm good, but that doesn't mean that I don't have what to do. That doesn't mean that there's not a purpose in this moment and in this minute and in this Pesach and in whatever it may be. And it just reminds me briefly that years ago there was someone who lived on the block. He doesn't live on the block anymore. I won't say his name also. He told me he has to go to business in China. And I said, oh, Givaldik, must be, there's something to do there. He says, no, he didn't hear me. I have to go away from my family for a week or whatever. It's a long trip. What do I need it for? I can't make money here. I have to go to China to make money. What do I need it for? It's a tircha, it's a hassle, and my wife's alone with the kids. It's hard for her, which means it's hard for me. What do I need it for? So I said, no, you're missing the whole point. You're going to China. Well, you think you're going to make money. You could not make money here. You're not going to make money. That's like an Indian study. That's a side issue. To make money, your business, your job. Okay, good, fine. You have a job. Good. You're there for a shlichus. It must be that Hashem wants you to go to China that week in particular, in that city, wherever it was, I don't know, in that hotel, wherever he was staying, that the Eibishter must have some plan for you. Your job, you just got to uncover it. You just got to find it. But it's so freeing to recognize that every moment there's a purpose to it, there's a reason to it. Anyway, I'm just commenting on the hashgacha pratis of the satisfaction or the lack thereof, if you will, and the shlichus that everybody has, whether it's a shlichus as a bacher to go to yeshiva in Los Angeles, let's say to learn Torah. That was the shlichus, to learn Torah. Whether it's my wife and I here in Queens, or Rabbi Wagen, Tulsa, Oklahoma, or every single person here that also has a shlichus. Shlichus means it's so much bigger than me. Shlichus means that every moment there's a tachlis. I'm here for a reason. There's something to do. Anyway, that's enough for now. Okay.
About Irv, other war story. I came to the Kibbutz Shluchim. Everybody knows that once a year, all the Shluchim come together from all over the world and so on. Anyway, I heard at the conference that if there's somebody that you're trying to get a hold of and you can't get through to him, so call him on Friday and wish him good Shabbos. Not more. Just wish him good Shabbos. Eventually he'll pick up the phone. Anyway, I called the first week and I asked for Irv, and the secretary answered the phone. Irv is, by the way, a very important person, and he's on every national board that there is, National Federation, National whatever welfare board, whatever you name it, he's on the board. Anyway, I called him up and I asked for him. Hold on a second, the rabbi. He comes back. He's busy right now. He's busy, my foot. He's busy right now, and he can't. Is there any message? Tell the rabbi called the wish him good Shabbos. Second week, same thing. Hold on a second. Comes back. He's busy right now. Is there any message? Tell the rabbi called the wish him good Shabbos. Third week, she didn't bother asking him. She asked, "Is there any message?" And I said, good Shabbos. Seventh to eighth week, ninth week, I don't remember exactly. Picks up the phone, no hello, no goodbye, no. What do you want? What do you want? Okay. Your money. In New York, you never say that. anything about mezuzah, about anything but in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I'm a local boy, and the guy is local. So I said, I want your money, but I don't expect you to give it to me right now. I said, give me 20 minutes. Let me give you my pitch. And if I merit so that you give me money, will be the beneficiaries of your financial support. If not, no problem. I won't bother you again. He said, that's a good deal. Okay, 20 minutes, I'll give you. Anyway, he gives me an appointment. I come into his office. His office is a little larger than this room. And he has got an entire section of plaques, and then a whole section of menorahs, and a whole section of shofars. And he's got, he said, I'm a Reformed Jew, not by default. He said, I'm by choice. He said, I want to be a Reformed Jew. I wish everybody was a Reformed Jew, but I know it's not going to happen. So he says, so therefore I give money to everybody. He said, conservative said I give them money because whatever, I don't remember exactly what he said. He said the Orthodox are the scholars. I remember he mentioned two specific institutions. One was the Atlanta Scholars Kollel, and one was Yeshiva Torah Chaim in Denver. He said I give them money every year because I feel it's very important that the Jewish people should have scholars, and the Orthodox provide scholarship. He said, I'll give money to everybody except for Chabad. Ooh, it's special now. So why would you give us money? He said, first of all, I know your Rebbe. He said, he'll forever carry the flag that Torah Judaism is different than everything else. He said, your Rebbe is different. He said, everybody else, I could buy them off. He said, for the right price, I could buy them off. He said, your Rebbe is a true believer. He said, I'll never. Number two, he said, my children, his children, could become frum. He said, Yeshiva Torah Chaim sends a guy once a year. He said, they stay in Denver. He said, Atlanta Scholars Kollel seasons in Atlanta. He said, they send a guy once a year to pick up a check. He said, you moved here. He said, my children could become frum. I'm thinking, this guy really knows what he's talking about. The Rebbe is never going to change his mind. And I moved there, his children could become frum. Anyway, I said, you're a man of principle, I'm a man of principle. I try to be a man of principle. I'm not going to bother you anymore. It's been a pleasure. I'm walking out. I get to the door, walking from the office to his door. It's pretty far. Anyway, he said, he stops me. He said, I just want to tell you one thing. He said, the system that raised you, for you to walk around the city looking like that, he said they did something right. Okay, so we love to trash the system, right? Okay, so there's this guy who really understood it. He said, well, he praised the system. He said the system that raised you. He said they know what they're doing. Okay. Anyway, I walked out. About a year and a half later, you know what elevator speech is? You go up and they have a few seconds, whatever. Anyway, I met him at the top of this elevator speech in reverse. I met him at the top of Summit Club. So there was a Jewish event, whatever. I go to every Jewish event that I can. Anyway, there was no food, and therefore it wasn't kosher, and it didn't have to be kosher. And anyway, they had a speaker over there. I came. Anyway, so I'm going back down Summit Club, and I'm going back down the elevator, and he's in the elevator together with me, just the two of us. He says to me, he said, I've been watching you for the last year and a half. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, it's time for you to come pick up a check. Okay, so I gave him a check. Anyway, that's the first part of the epilogue, English word. Uh, it's like this, and it's not so long. We have yeshivas kayets. Some yeshiva, whatever. Bachram comes to learn. And I don't think it's right for Bachram to learn with ladies. So therefore, I'm a married guy, so I live with all the ladies. I have about eight ladies that come to the yeshiva, and I learn with them. I have a table full of them, and we prepare. It's a taste of yeshiva. So the Bachram, they spend preparing for the class, and then they have a lecture, and they go over the lecture and stuff. Anyway, I get a call. I can't advertise in Tulsa. That's just for men. So the yeshiva is for men and for women. Okay, so as I pointed out, so I get a call. The guy says, the lady says, I saw your publicity about the yeshiva. I'd like to sign up for it. Fine. Says, what's your name? Her name is Julie. This is the daughter. Anyway, and she says, I want to sign up my friend. What's her name? Whatever. She gives me her name. Anyway, two ladies, whatever, that are well known in town, and they came to this yeshiva. I just want to point out that Julie has been our #1 cash giver ever since. And she gives us more money than anybody else. So when Herb said, my children come from, you know, when they're sucking up.
Did she become from, or she just makes a lot of money?
She's from an average Tulsa.
Good seeing it. I was just saying, it doesn't seem the only best. The whole spectrum, first like.
Fine.
I've done this. I've done this.
Zeb, what niggin did they sing on your part of Cougar and Souls?
Bukhari.
It's gone back to that our son Mandel is going on tomorrow. It's like Oregon. It's gonna be making a sanctuary in the middle of where? In the middle of nowhere?
Middle of somewhere.
The middle of nowhere, Oregon? Do you know the name of the town?
Brookings.
It doesn't mean anything.
Okay. Oregon is part of our region. We have a very strange region. Oregon.
We're very proud of him. He didn't ask the parents for permission. Now that I didn't realize how important that was. Now I know
Okay.
the importance of asking the parents, and I have to say I wasn't asked. But we're very proud of him.
Okay.
He was there last week giving out matzah.
Very nice. Very nice. We just gave out matzah to every single Jewish house in the city of Tulsa.
Oh, wow.
How was like?
How many houses?
About 600 houses.
600.
600. That's but everyone got matzah.
That's a tiny community. There's like 600 houses of Jews on this block.
Yeah, but
Okay.
probably like one house per block.
Not even.
Wow.
Okay, I'll tell you the story. In Kedeba. One of Tulsa's claims to fame is the eating disorder program. We have a very highly rated eating disorder program, considered to be the best in the country. by many
What,
men.
sir, Mr. What kind of program?
Eating disorders,
Oh.
anorexia. So you should know from it. Anyway, we've about 11 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, Orthodox Jews discovered Tulsa. Tulsa is So we never had, it was 25 years, we never saw from the suddenly there's non-stop. We have, there's always 3-4 girls over there that come from either Lakewood or somewhere nearby. We've had every color hat, you name it. We've had from Queens, we had from Chavetz Chaim, we've had vouchers, we had from Crown Heights, we had everything over the last 11 years, non-stop. Anyway, a guy who's a Belzer, he grew up in Belzer anyway. He's not in Belzer today anymore, but anyway, he grew up in Belzer. He came and he tells me that his daughter is supposed to be released Yud-Gimel Nissan. Yud-Gimel Nissan is 2 days before Pesach. It's the worst time for a girl to be released. Why? Because they don't have relapses. What is what is Pesach in a Polish house? Eating. That's it. Eating. So for these girls, it's torture. Okay, they don't learn my mother, they don't learn sichas, whatever. It's eating. Okay, so for these girls, it's torture, and those who are released right before Yom Tov very often have a relapse. Anyway, we realized that it's 2 days before Yom Tov, and this girl has been there for five months, and she's done very well. Which was an average. The average girl was there for 4 or 5 months. Some were there for 8 months. Some were there for fewer, for smaller times. But most girls were there 4 or 5 months. Anyway, the guy says, what's called? I said you have to speak to the hospital. They have to. He spoke to the hospital. They said it depends on the insurance. If the insurance will pay, they'll keep the girl for 2 more weeks. If not, then she has to leave. She's ready to leave. She's on paper. She's ready to leave. They spoke to the hospital. Spoke to the insurance. Insurance. Let's think about it. They came back. They said they're not ready to pay. It will cost about $16,000 for 2 weeks. About $8,000 a week. You know, anybody who has 11 children has an extra $250,000 thing around. Anyway, so they rejected it. Anyway, he asked second time, third time, they rejected each time. Finally, he has no choice. He has to show up. So he showed up the day before Yud-Gimel Nissan. The night before, and I'm just coming back from New York. So I can't be allowed to listen. So I met him at Chabad House. Now Chabad House is situated in such a way that the shul is in the middle, and the kitchen is on one side, and the bedrooms for the parents are on the other side. Anyway, what else do they get together? What do? They trade stories. So he was telling stories about the bells now, I was telling stories about the Rebbe, and we're going back and forth. Good. It's about 11 o'clock already, and it's time for me to go home. So I told him, okay, good night. He said that he's going to come back about 1 o'clock the next day, and he's going to pick up his stuff, and he's going to go to the airport. 3 o'clock is the flight, 3:30 is the flight, and he's going to leave. At 11 o'clock, he walks through the door, 2 hours early. I said, well, what are you doing here? He said, Enke Rebbe, your Rebbe. It's a pig Yiddish. In the Bible, we never say Enke. Your Rebbe, I Rebbe, or Rebbe. Enke Rebbe is not a language that we use. But anyway, he said among Hungarians, that's the way they say it. Enke Rebbe, your Rebbe. Okay, And I said, well, what happened? So he said, we were sitting in the discharge room and they were giving me instructions. If she says this, if she says that, what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say. Pitamol, suddenly there's a knock on the door. We open the door. It's the insurance person. She said, I don't know who you know, but they said 2 more weeks. They'll cover 2 more weeks. Go home and come back in 2 weeks. So he's ready to leave. So it comes at 11 o'clock. I said, what did you say about the Rebbe? What are you talking about the Rebbe? He said, after you left last night, he said, I passed through the shul. He said, there was a picture of the Rebbe. I said, one of the stories that you told was that Council of Avishers, not necessarily going to get what you ask for. But Perdusha, whatever they ask for, they get. He said, the Rebbe, he said in Yiddish, and I'll translate it. He said, Rebbe skibnedach. He said, you owe it to me. He said, because I'm a Perdusha. So therefore you owe it to me. So he said, and today, he said, I asked, I asked last night for the Rebbe to interfere, and today they came to the watch. My wife doesn't come that often. My wife comes, she comes from time to time. She came twice right after that, and both times she found this guy and his daughter at the oil. So you should you have the oil in close proximity. It's a half hour away. You should take advantage of it. Anyway, this guy is he's not sure he's a Belz anymore. He might be a Lubavitcher. He sends me clips of the Rebbe talking constantly. He visited my father. Whatever. Anyway, he went to his caver. He went to my father's caver. He goes to the oil all the time. So whenever he needs anything, he goes to the oil. He knows the address. He knows where to find it. He can get anything he wants.
Mashiach v'samecha, Orei v'snachosecha, Orei v'nasei ma'adamei Mashiach v'samecha, Orei v'snachosecha.
Continue.
Myers,
Myers.
you're a minute, no?
That's supposed to make this. When you saw, I saw it, like, I'm taking pictures and everything.
You belong on Meyer? That
Yeah.
situation, yeah, okay.